Hi, Chris here. Thanks for stopping by my channel, All Time Jack. Today I'm making a pin box for my daughter. I used to make these by hand, but I've got a pretty cool CNC machine, so I thought I would design a program and give it a shot, see if I can make it a little more interesting. And it turned out really nice. This is probably a little more advanced project than a beginner project. It's not too bad though. There's some reliefs and offsets that make it a little more complex. Let's see, we have some mahogany, alder, cherry, maple. Here's some cedar. I think we'll use cedar on this project. I've made a lot of these pin boxes out of these woods. I usually give a full breakdown of the feeds and speeds and bits and stuff in a description. I'll give you some info on this project, but your settings can drastically change between these woods. These settings will work pretty well with cedar. However, harder, more dense woods will require different settings, most likely. And here you can see we're just not quite flat. So I'm going to measure, make sure I got enough room to mill it down, run it through the joiner, and run it through the planer. I've got just enough room to mill down both sides. Make sure you get the right side down first. And this is a great home planer, but it will snipe. But I've done it enough where I can get it where it won't snipe if you get the in-feed and out-feed tables just right and get your depth of cut just right. So we're right where we need to be, and we can get the CNC ready. Starting off with a 1/4 inch down cut end mill. Dust collector removed so we can see it. Going to use tape and CA glue to hold it down. I know this seems kind of amateurish or weird, but it just works really well for something like this. Here's the glue and activator. Any CA glue and activator that I've used always works pretty good. The more you're pushing your machine or your work, the more glue you're going to want to use, but I just put little dots all the way across, all the way up and down. Doesn't take a whole lot really. You just want to get it evenly spread out there. Throw the activator down and then hold it down for about 20-30 seconds. I'm not even going to get into the best way to put your work on the machine and line it up and all that. There's a million different ways to do it. Everybody has their favorite way. I just have that temporary piece of MDF underneath that's surfaced and line it up to the front. And if I don't stick the wood down just where it needs to be, I can loosen one side and line it up and get it flush. It's very quick, very easy, and temporary. And I can just pull that off with 2 clamps and have my normal grid and bed for other projects. Getting 0 on the Z with the touch plate. And here I'm just putting a little X marks the spot, sort of. I want it right dead in the center because my datum's at center. And we're ready to start cutting. I've used upcut and downcut for this part. I found the downcut works a little better for me. The upcut works pretty good, but it leaves you with a little bit more work on the top, and I'm more willing to do the work on the bottom. You do need to be extracting the chips, and since we don't have the dust collection hooked up, I'm just using a shop vac. Gonna do a bit change. Gonna go from a 1/4 to a 1.6 mil. Zero it and get to work. It'll become more clear in a minute why the different bits are used. There's magnets that go in these to hold it together. Those obviously have to have a hole to go into. And then there's other holes where on one side it's a hole and then on the other side will be kind of like a locating dowel. Now we're going to switch over to a 1/8 bit to drill some holes and punch in some glue relief into some of those holes. I had to play around with the offset a little bit in this tool path to get the hole just right for the magnet to fit in just the way I wanted to. This is not a drilling tool path. You can see it carving it out, and you can set it to inside the line, outside the line, on the line. And then you can also set offsets on those to get it just right. One more here and then onto the glue relief. What this is doing is just puncturing a little hole in the bottom, not all the way through, just a little divot in the bottom where when you drop a drop of glue in there, it'll set in that little divot, and when you push your magnet in, keep it from spilling up over the top. Now we're ready to hog out the pin bed. This is one of the bits that the harder the wood gets, you have to make some adjustments because it'll start chattering. Cedar's a really good wood to start out with a project like this. It's really easy to carve. It's pretty easy on the machine too. One last pass here and we can cut it out. Make sure you pull those chips out. You'll see it right here come up. That's the tabs. It'll do 4 of those on each one of them. You don't really have to do that with the CA glue. I'd do it just to be safe. Most of the time they'll just pull right up when you pull the wood off. Let's get this bottom one cut out and we'll pull it up and see how it looks. Could probably push this a little bit harder, go a little bit faster here, but I got it to this point and it cut out real good, so ran with it. Last pass here. Got a couple more tabs and we'll pull her up. Here we go. Pulled up really good. You just got to get it firm and pull pretty hard. You can get a putty knife or something and kind of get the edge of it, make it a little easier on yourself if you need to. It's looking really nice. Get all the tape off of here and then we can secure the top down, whichever one we pick to be the top, and do the name. Absolutely perfect. Really nice fit. Really happy with that. Now I'm going to put my daughter's name down here. Starting off with a 1/4-inch bit. This will be a series of clearances and we'll end with a 60-degree V-bit. This 1/4-inch bit will go in and clearance out everything that it can get to within that 1/4-inch spec. And then we'll have to change it out and go a little bit smaller. And then that one will go in and clearance everything out all the way down to the V-bit, which will go and do the final V-carve. And that V-carve bit with the V-carve toolpath, the way it works, it's really cool. And it'll really bring this project to life. And we're just about to the point where this one won't get any more. So we're going to have to step it down. And we'll step it down to a 1/8 bit. This is the next clearance pass. It'll go in and start getting in some of the smaller places that the 1/4-inch couldn't get to. If you like this sort of thing, please like and subscribe. I'll have more videos in the future on other things you can do with these. Fill them in with epoxy, some hybrid epoxy, wood projects, pin boxes, and some other things. I'll also have some videos on the pins I make that go in these pin boxes, one you'll see here in a minute. It's not made from the same piece of cedar as this box is. It came from a trunk that my Uncle Pat gave me. Well, not the whole trunk, but he gave me some of the wood from it. We got some pretty wood out of that thing and made some nice projects. And I'll have a few projects in the future from the wood that came from that trunk. And now we're about ready to step it down one more time before we get to the V-bit. This one will do the same thing. It's just a little bit finer detail. It'll really get in there in between the stars and the letters and give you some clarity in between everything. You can break these little tiny small bits real easy. So you want to pay particular attention to your speeds and feeds and find something to practice on. I'd use MDF for most of the stuff that I'm designing or trying to make or figure out the speeds and feeds. And now we're going to finish it off with the V-bit. These V-bits are really cool bits. Everybody should have one. You can do so much with them. It's a must-have bit, and you can use it for a lot of different applications. I have another video where I've restored a Delta Rockwell drill press, and I made a new machine tag, nameplate, model and serial tag, and I use that bit to engrave some of the aluminum. I'll put links in the description to those videos if you'd like to see them. So it's doing the final stages now of this program. It'll go through and do your V-carve for whatever depth you have it set to, and then it'll come back, and what it's doing now is going in and finding all the inner and outer corners, and it goes back and puts a refined line on them at the right angle. It turns out really neat, looks really cool. And we're just about done here. Let this finish up. We'll pull it up, see how it looks. Same thing as before, just get a hold of it pretty good. You can use a putty knife or something if you need to. Just pull it on up, pull the tape off, take a look at it. Looking really nice. Let's do some sanding. This will bring it right on down really quick. Now I'll move over to this one and get the edges. Want to be real careful doing this. It looks pretty easy, but it can get away from you. Or you can also gouge it or something, or make your perimeter contour funny, or your lines funny looking, different thickness. If you really want to ruin your project, get your radiuses off on the corners. Make the whole thing look horrible. Just have a real light touch, pay attention, and don't take too much. I did go over it by hand one time as well. These are the little magnets that we're going to put in. They're little bitty. They're pretty strong. 2 of them is more than enough for this application. And by 2, I mean 4. 1 in each side, basically. But it'll be 4 magnets. What I was doing with the Sharpie there just a second ago was marking one side of each so you don't get the polarity reversed putting them in there. That would be bad. Now we're just putting the glue in, dropping the magnets in, spray the activator, and let it set. One more on this side. And the other side. Now we can test it out. Look at that. Perfect fit. Loving it. Gonna wipe it down a little bit with a tack cloth and then put some finish on it. I'm just gonna do some butcher block oil on this. I put a lot of different finishes on these. You can pick whatever you want. There's almost nothing you can use that looks bad. But for the purpose of this video and being quick, we will just put some butcher block oil on there. Except for, you'll see in a minute, I'm about to run out. So we'll have to use some butcher block conditioner. Starting to look pretty nice. Cedar's really pretty if you get it shined up the right way. Looks really good, easy to work with. Man, look at that. Turning out really beautiful. Going to put another coat on it. That's where I ran out of butcher block oil, so just using the conditioner. What I normally put on these is like a Danish oil or epoxy or a wipe-on poly. This is just simple butcher block oil and conditioner. The other ones, it's a lot more involved. Takes a lot longer to do. This, quick and easy. And there we are. This project really turned out really nice. Really fun project. It can be frustrating trying to figure everything out. It's a lot to do. A lot more than it looks like right there. There's the pin I had turned out of another piece of cedar. I'll have some videos on that in the future as well. Turning them on my late 30s Walker Turner driver line lathe. I have a lot of fun on that thing, and I'll have a lot of videos of it in the future. And mucho thanks to my Uncle Pat. I got that lathe from him, and I've gotten a whole bunch of other nice stuff over the last couple of years from him. If you like this sort of thing, or you'd like to see some of my other videos, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.